Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Young's Daughter's Funeral Home and Bereavement Channel. My name is Sabrina Young, and I'm the owner. And today I get the privilege to introduce to you Mary Panico, and she is the author of Grief Etiquette, What to Say and How to Say It. So I'm really excited. Thank you, Mary, so much for being here.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, I don't know how I stumbled across your book, but I was really excited to learn about it. Could you tell us why or how you came about writing about grief etiquette?
Definitely. So, I about 3 years ago, I experienced a lot of tragedy in my family. My mom was 56 years old. I'm totally healthy, no symptoms of cancer. She woke up the day after Christmas with not feeling well. She thought she had COVID, only to find out she had stage 4 ovarian cancer. From her first symptoms of not feeling well to her passing, it all happened in about 5.5 weeks. Um, she was 56. Like I said, there were no warnings, nothing. I live in Texas. Um, so I flew up to New York to be with my mom to take care of her, um, just being her caregiver, taking care of her. I was gone from my family. I have two boys, so I left my husband and two kids for, like I said, 5 weeks. Um, Came home, and that was honestly the first time I really encountered death. Um, like I knew, of course, people that had passed away, but um, just out of the blue, like I said, without warning, there was such a shock. When I came home, I found that number one, I was still in shock that my mom was not only did she have cancer, but she was gone in such a short time. And I remember right away just hearing the comments that people made, just all the insensitive, hurtful comments. For me, I found like I would tell myself, okay, people mean well. I probably said really silly things too before I lost my mom. But wow, these certain comments from people, I mean, it was a whole range of I'm so sorry your mom died, but at least you got to say goodbye, or at least you had her for so many for so long. Look at how many kids lose their parents at, the ages of 5 or 6. But I think the worst comment for me was, like I said, I was gone from my family for 5 weeks. I finally came home after my mom's funeral. Well, I had a friend who, right about, I think it was only just a few days after being home, my friend found out really sad news about her husband not getting the job he wanted. So she called me up and she said, "Hey, we're really, really upset. He didn't get the job he wanted. We're really, really sad. Can you come babysit my kids?" And I remember just being like so flabbergasted. Like, I not only did I lose my mom, but I just got home. And so I began crying, saying, "I'm sorry, I'm really in a horrible spot right now. So no, I can't come watch your kids." And then she replied, "I'm really, really sorry. I probably shouldn't have asked, but I'm grieving too." And I remember thinking, okay, job loss is, or not getting the job you wanted, that's a disappointment. But I remember thinking, I cannot believe she's comparing it on the same level as losing a mom. So then I was like, huh, like it just got me thinking, why do people say, or why don't people say the right thing? Why do they just blurt out, just silly, awful things that just really make the grieving process worse? So then fast forward to 6 months later, like after 6 months of grief, my brother who was a year younger than me, so I was 32 at the time, my brother was 31, he got married. Um, so my whole family gathered together up in Michigan for the wedding. After 6 months of grief, we were all together, finally able to celebrate something happy. Long story short, my brother died unexpectedly, without warning on his honeymoon, about 6 days after the funeral. Or I'm sorry, 6 days after his wedding. Um, it's still hard to talk about. Same with my brother. When I got home, the same exact thing happened. People meant well, but they just would say things like, "Oh, wow, I'm so sorry you lost your mom and now your brother." Like, wow, your life really sucks. Or just, well, at least he got married before he died. Imagine if he didn't get married. Well, at least you guys were all together. Same thing with my mom. It's like, okay, I'm grieving. The pain is so intense. I know you mean well. That's not that's not helpful right now. So I think experiencing both losses so close to each other, both of them without warning. And my mom, like I said, was 56 years old. My brother was 31. Um, just grieving too, and no matter how old the person you love is, like, they were 96, no matter how old they are, grieving, whether it's a sudden or not sudden, it's so hard to grieve and to mourn and to just, go about your day-to-day duties with that heavy weight of grief. But then hearing comments that are just so insensitive, just as I said before, it just makes the whole grieving process worse. So I remember thinking, you know what? I'm going to write a book. I don't think I'll get it published, but I just want to help people to know grief etiquette. And so I specifically wanted the word etiquette in there because, when people think of like wedding etiquette, you don't wear white to a wedding, or job etiquette. You dress up, you etiquette, but there is no etiquette for grief. People just blurt out anything. And so I specifically wanted, I was like, I'm going to write about grief etiquette because I think grief needs to have a set of just guidelines to help people to know what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do. So I began writing for therapeutic reasons. Like I said, I was like, well, I don't think I'll ever get it published. I've never written a book. But I just began writing just to get it all out for my own therapy. And then I sent it to a few different friends who just, hey, I wrote this grief etiquette, just for fun. So I got their feedback and they were all like, Mary, you should get this published. This is people need to know this. Like, wow, this really helped me. And so I began thinking more about it. Like, okay, well, I'll talk to a few publishers, maybe, but I mean, I doubt it. But then I hearing that all that encouraging feedback from friends was really what made me look into publishing. So I called a few publishers and they were like, whoa, there's hardly any books on this topic. So yes. So I was like, all right, so here goes. And now I have it here in print.
Well, congratulations. Hats off to you for the success.
Thank you.
Through grief, unfortunately, that your success has come from hardship and heartache. But I pray that you called it a grief journey and a part of therapy for yourself. So I hope that you have found a tremendous success in that grief journey that you're walking. I see the importance of why you wrote it, but why you mentioned some importance why people need to read grief etiquette. Being on the funeral side of the house, I see people that they don't experience grief at all until they're like well in their 30s. COVID kind of put an outlier in the experience of passings and grief.
Mhm.
To many people, they learn to grieve earlier. But if you never had a pet, or your parents haven't separated and divorced and things of that nature, or if you've ever experienced a true loss, many people sit across from me at my tables and they say, Sabrina, this is the first time I'm going to make funeral arrangements and I hope I never have to do this again. I don't want to ever have to lose anybody. So why do you think that this book weighs so much to people that are going to read it? What are your key points about that? Why is it so important for them?
So I would say that it's so important because um, all of us, somebody made a good point to me a few months ago that not everybody is going to get married, not everybody is going to become a parent, but at some point, everybody is going to walk the journey of grief. Like you said, some people don't experience it till their 30s, like me. Um, some people experience it earlier, some later, but at some point, everybody is going to lose somebody they love, whether it's a parent, a sibling, a friend, a coworker. And I just feel like we as a society need to, so many people view grief and loss and death as like the elephant in the room. Like, don't talk about it. It makes everybody uncomfortable. So just nobody really nobody really talks about grief and loss. It's kind of like I said, that hidden elephant in the room. And so I would say that I want people to read my book because I want people to understand that grief is so common today. I mean, so many people die a year, and it's going to hit us all at one point. And I just feel like, why is death and loss so taboo? Like, how can we change that and talk about it more, make it not so awkward and uncomfortable?
So how do you think society can change in the way that we're viewing death and dying and loss?
I would say, it just starts with all of us. Um, I would say, like, the more open conversations, having open conversations about it, one person at a time, slowly. If everybody just talks about it, not to just hide about it or skirt around the topic, I feel like it takes all of us to just slowly chink away at that, with it being like a hidden or taboo subject, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one thing that we spearhead here is making death awareness conversations through, it's called Death Cafes. I don't know if you've ever been to one or seen.
Oh,
It's a nonprofit organization I had started, and I tried to collect, people of all different walks of life, maybe on the professional side, nurses, doctors, just
yeah.
people that are interested in death and dying itself and want to come to a space that it's open to talk about these things. So I
Mhm.
encourage, if you have one in your neck of the woods, definitely go there and share your,
Yeah,
because I think that would
yeah,
be a great way to start, open that dialogue for the world to see.
yes. What is it called again?
Death Cafe.
Death Cafe. Oh wow, I've never heard of it.
Yes, ma'am. So we try to host them through Temple, Belton, and Killeen areas. So if you are in our neck of the woods, we'd love to have you come to one of them, and maybe we can do a book thing here and let the community know
For
you're
sure,
looking for a book signing event.
for sure. Yes, I would love that.
So tell us about the chapters. Like, tell us about the feedback that your friends read. Tell us about the chapters that they thought was most helpful.
Sure. So yeah, most of my family and friends have read it. A lot of funeral home directors have read it, and so it came out last July. So far, I have not received a negative comment so far, which is really encouraging. Um, I would say the general consensus of my book is like, wow, I had no idea. I had no idea how much everybody needs to read this book. I feel like, so sorry, I'm going all over the place. Um, I would say most people have told me that the chapter in my book of how to support a grieving loved one, I would say that is the one that's most popular. So my book is divided. First, I talk about, like, before I even get into grief etiquette, first I explain, like, my story, and then what is grief, what is grief etiquette, and then from there on, I go into how to support your grieving loved one. Um, and in that chapter, how to support a grieving loved one, I talk about the fact that in general, most people, when they approach a grieving person, it's our human nature to, hey, you're sad. I need to make you feel better. So here comes all the insensitive comments. And like I said, I just stressed in my book. Like, when I wrote my book, I didn't want anybody to feel bad. But the feedback I got was, "Oh gosh, I cringed when I read the chapter because I said those things." And it's like, my intention wasn't to make anybody feel bad, but just to highlight, like, when you're supporting a grieving loved one, it's okay to not know what to say. Sometimes less is more. So for me, like, in my experience, and of course everybody is different, but for me, it's like, it was so hard when people, like those examples I gave, oh, at least you had your mom till you were 32, or yada, yada, yada. For me, what I loved the most was when people would come up to me, give me a hug, or hold my hand and just say, Mary, I'm sorry. I'm here. And then that was it. That to me meant so much. But like when people went on or compared grief or tried to make, maybe it happened for this reason, or maybe your mom would have made bad choices, or maybe your brother would have been unhappy, or just whatever it was. It's like, well, I loved it when people were short, simple, hey, I'm sorry, I'm here. And then they would just sit with me. And I feel like that really struck most of my readers. Like, wow, you're right. Like so many times we feel like we have to fix your grief, but you're right. I guess you don't really have to say anything. Like you can't, no matter how much you want to, nobody can take away the pain of grief. There are things you can do to help you in your grief journey, but you can't fix grief. And I think that's another misconception that we in America have today. It's like, you're grieving, I need to fix your grief. And you can't. You can be there, you can support me, you can do things to help, but you can't fix the root problem of grief. And so I would say that really resonated a lot with my readers.
Well, wonderful. I hope I get the opportunity to read your book. I'm really excited to see and give thoughtful tips and tricks to walk through grief with people. And I think it is a very useful book. I think people will enjoy it if they haven't, dabbled in it, or maybe they can align themselves with the book to see what they're doing or how they can personally improve on their etiquette. So I am going to put your book and the link to purchase. You want to tell people where your book is available right now to purchase?
Thank you. Yes, it's on Amazon, or it would say most people buy it right from Amazon, but it's on all the major retailers like online, like Barnes and Noble, Amazon.
Wow, hats off to you for being such a good book out there. So if you can
Thank you.
take a look at her, do you have a website?
I don't.
Okay, so we don't have a website, but if you want to purchase the book, you can go to Amazon. We will put a link. I'll find the link for you guys to purchase directly. Mary, again, thank you so much for being with us today. We really
Oh,
appreciate
thank you
you.
so much. It was a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you.
All right, everyone, if you can, please like, subscribe, and share this content information and tag those that you find it helpful. We look forward to our next video, and thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.